Okay, I am standing here at the corner of Route 30 and Knoxland Road, and I am looking at in front of me what some of you may know as the first shot marker, which is here in the center of our frame, and the Ephraim Whistler House and Blacksmith Shop. Now, as many people know and think when they hear the term Battle of Gettysburg, it was an action that took place on July 1st through the 3rd of 1863. And this particular house and that marker over here in the backyard signify the first shot fired at 7:30 in the morning by Lieutenant Marcellus Jones of the 8th Illinois Cavalry. And you want to go back and watch my video on Marcellus Jones and the 8th Illinois Cavalry, as well as the Ephraim Whistler House, which I did earlier. But what people don't realize is just about 1 week before the Battle of Gettysburg, there was a smaller battle. Now, this battle was a mere skirmish by battle standards that took place here. It was consisting of a few small clashes or skirmishes between Union and Confederate troops. This smaller battle would allow both sides to feel out each other's strengths for the epic battle that would come about 1 week later on July 1st through the 3rd of 1863. This is my introduction, and I present to you the unknown Battle of Gettysburg, Part 1 on Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook. Okay, I'm here at the intersection of Route 30 and Hilltown Road. I'm in a little village called McKnightstown, which is about 8 miles west of Gettysburg, which is in the direction in front of us. Now, on June the 25th, 1863, Major General Jubal A. Early was in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, in this direction here, where he received an order from General Richard S. Ewell to advance towards Gettysburg, and then proceed from Gettysburg to York, Pennsylvania. The objective was to cut the Northern Central Railroad, burn the Wrightsville-Columbia Bridge, which spanned the Susquehanna River, and then Ewell and Early would join their forces together and make an assault on the state capital of Pennsylvania in Harrisburg, to capture the capital and then to send the northern population into a panic, as well as the Lincoln administration. Now, on Friday, June the 26th, at 8:20 in the morning, it was raining in Gettysburg, and Jubal Early received a word that there were local militia in the town of Gettysburg. Now, he was wrong about this being just a untrained militia. This was a militia that had just been recruited, that were some good shots from men that lived in the central Pennsylvania area. That regiment would be known forever as the 26th Pennsylvania Emergency Militia. Now, they were spotted just west of the town where we shot our first video from. Now, because of this report, he decided to split his forces and advance on 2 separate angles, just in case one of the routes was impassable. Now, Lieutenant Colonel Elijah V. White's 35th Battalion of Virginia Cavalry and 1,000 men from Gordon's brigade advanced in the direction our camera is facing in, up the Chambersburg Pike, eastbound toward the town of Gettysburg. Now, when the troops got to this point here, White splits off. He heads towards Gettysburg straight ahead in this direction. This little road that forks off to the left is Hilltown Road. Now, Colonel William French and his 17th Virginia Cavalry and the remainder of Early's division headed north on the Hilltown Road. Now, this route would allow the Confederates to get around the right flank of the supposed militia. So you have troops going up 30, the militia is in the distance here on a line, And then you have the split forces, the Confederates, heading north on the Hilltown Road so they can get around the right flank of the militia troops there. Now, the 26th Pennsylvania Militia, just a week before, they were mustered in with 743 men, and they were sworn to protect the Cashtown Pass, which is back this way toward Chambersburg. They were also to protect the Cumberland Valley and Adams County and Gettysburg. They were under the command of Colonel William W. Jennings. This was a green, untested, untrained regiment that had just been formed together. And again, as I said earlier, they were made up of central Pennsylvania men from all over central Pennsylvania, but 56 of them were actually recruits from Pennsylvania College, which today is known as Gettysburg College. Joining them would also be the Philadelphia City Cavalry and a local cavalry unit from Adams County nicknamed Bell's Cavalry, which were under the command of Captain Robert Bell. One of their members of Bell's Cavalry was George Washington Sandeau, who would later be, and we did videos on him being the first soldier killed during the Gettysburg campaign here in Gettysburg. This has been the Unknown Battle of Gettysburg, Part 2 on Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook. This is going to be the Unknown Battle of Gettysburg, Part 3. At 10:30 in the morning, Jennings began a westwardly march on the Chambersburg Pike toward our camera with Bell's cavalry in the lead, in the rain and the fog. Now, as they got into this area here, getting close to the Marsh Creek Bridge, the column was halted, and Jennings chose 40 of his best shots from the 26th Pennsylvania Emergency Militia to form a picket line between the Lore and Lot farms on the south side of the pike. Now, this farm that we're looking at here is the Lot farm. That is the farm of Jacob and Anna Lot. It was built in the late 1700s. I just was able to go in the house a few minutes ago. Spoke with the lady that owned the house, and of course I shot a video which I'll post about the barn too. But the barn was built in the 1840s. It's a Pennsylvania bank barn. The bank is on the rear side. Now, the 26th Emergency Militia came up to this point here where we're walking, and they began to form a picket line between the properties owned by the Lots and the Lores. Now, the Lore property, we're walking toward it, and I'll point it out in a moment. But right here in this vicinity, they formed their line. Now, the remainder of the 26th Pennsylvania set up a camp on the northeast side of the pike here in the distance on the right-hand side. And they set their camp up with tents to shield them from the rain in a small clover field. Now, and they put tents out to protect them from the rain, since it was a rainy, foggy morning in which this happened. Now, as we walk up here westward on the Chambersburg Pike, you can see the stone house over here in the distance, and that was actually the Lore property. So the Lore property is here in front of us, and then the Jacob and Anna Lot farm are back here. This right here where we're standing is where the 26th Pennsylvania Emergency Militia set up their picket line. In front of us, as the road goes downhill, at the bottom of the hill is the Marsh Creek Bridge. And that is the spot where Confederates under the 35th Virginia met here with the 26th Pennsylvania Emergency Militia. Now, Jennings himself was behind the regiment, and he rode to the crest of the hill that you see there in the distance where those cars are coming toward us, and that is where we shot our first video at the Ephraim Whistler blacksmith shop. That's called Whistler's Rise. Jennings rode to Whistler's Rise And soon afterward, a member of Robert Bell's troopers, the 21st Pennsylvania Cavalry, came riding up to him quickly, and he stated that the enemy was not only near, but in much greater force than what the 26th Pennsylvania Emergency Militia could handle. So Jennings ordered his encamped men to strike their camp, take their tents, put them in their backpacks as soon as possible, and then retreat to Gettysburg. So what was happening here was these guys came out bravely to protect the Gap. They came here to protect the Cumberland Valley, Gettysburg, Adams County, but they were going to be overwhelmed by an overwhelming Confederate force here. So Jennings, realizing this, decided it wasn't best. It would be better for them to retreat back toward the town, get the heck out of here, and warn others what was about to come. Little did they know, a week later, that the largest battle ever fought on the eastern hemisphere of the earth would be fought here in the same area and would be started just back here at Whistler's Rise in the distance on the property of Ephraim Whistler. Today, two little secrets I'm going to talk about in my next part. This has been part 3 of the Unknown Battle of Gettysburg on Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook. This is the Unknown Battle of Gettysburg, part 4. And we just left off talking about the 26th Pennsylvania Militia forming up between the Lure and Lott properties, which is just in the camera in front of us, and Jennings being met by a member of the 21st Pennsylvania Cavalry, let him know that Confederates were headed in east toward Gettysburg in large numbers. Today, along the side of Route 30 is a little unknown monument that not many people visit. The first shot marker, which is about a half a mile in front of us on the top of Whistler's Rise, is not very well known about. It's the first shot of Gettysburg. But here's a marker that's even less known about that sits here right next to 1661, which is the home of A&A Auto Salvage, and it says the 26th Pennsylvania Emergency Infantry met the advance of Early's division of Confederate States of America at this place on the morning of June the 26th, 1863, or what I'm calling the First Battle of Gettysburg. And as an extra bonus, we're going to do secrets of the battlefield of Gettysburg, Hershey Park. Now, when I say Hershey Park, you probably listening out there, you're thinking, oh, that's the chocolate place. That's the place that has the rides. But there was a Hershey Park in Pennsylvania before the current Hershey Park in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and that sat right here in this open field. And the secret to it is in the Roaring 20s, the 1920s, when our laws were changed and prohibition was put into force, things were opened, were called speakeasies. And speakeasies were places where you could go and have an illegal drink of alcohol. A lot of times there would be prostitution and dances. And we've heard about this a little bit at Devil's Den, how the alcohol brought in prostitutes. But this little area here, this little open field today, back in the time around 1927 and going up to the 1940s, was actually a place called Hershey Park. And one man who operated Hershey Park knew a man who was in the 21st Pennsylvania Cavalry. And that man told him that where he had Hershey Park located was where he witnessed the first shot of the first Battle of Gettysburg fired on June the 26th of 1863. Now this building here that's in front of us says New Hope Church. It's an abandoned church. But back in the 1920s, this building was the speakeasy. This is where the parties were held. Later on, after this was closed in the 1940s, this became a church, and it became the New Hope Church, and today it's abandoned. But back in the 20s, this was a park. It had some children's rides, it had dances, chicken dinner, and I've been able to obtain, and I'm going to post, a ticket stub that you could get from Hershey Park, where for 25 cents you could get a chicken dinner, you could dance, and you could be a part of the activities that were going on here in this area. Now on the back of this ticket stub, and I got a picture of it which I'm going to post, it says the first shot of the Battle of Gettysburg was fired at Hershey Park. This has been Secrets of the Battlefield and Part 4 of the Unknown Battle of Gettysburg on Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook.